Hey guys, welcome to Breakdown. This week we're going to look at the women's hockey team who started the schedule this weekend against Mercyhurst. Also, we're going to take a look ahead to next weekend when the men's hockey team gets their season started. What else do we got, Kyle?
Plus, it was a historic day for the women's volleyball team, and both the men and women's soccer teams faced off against Niagara in conference play. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The women's hockey team started their regular season with a 2-game series against Mercyhurst. The Lakers have given the Bobcats trouble in the past. Quinnipiac came out of the weekend with a tie in Game 1 and a win in Game 2. That was the first win in head coach Cassandra Turner's collegiate career. Despite the positive results, it was hard to look past the losses from last year's team. One player's absence in particular was apparent, the loss of goaltender Chelsea Layden and her veteran voice behind the defense. Which leads us into our first question of the night, Kyle. How far can Sydney Rossman take this team?
I was a little disappointed in Sydney Rossman's position as a goalie this weekend. She averaged letting up 2 goals per game, and I don't think that's going to be good enough going further into the season. This defense isn't as good as we've seen. They're a very offensive team. As we saw 3 goals in the first game, 2 goals in the second game. I think she has to be stronger if they want to go further and make the playoffs. What do you think?
Well, Chelsea, here's some ridiculous stats that she had last year. .930 save percentage, 1.19 goals against average, and 16 shutouts.
Those are absurd.
16 shutouts in a year. She was on such a tear, and they had a tough schedule a little bit with some big traveling weekends sometimes, that they decided to play Sydney Rossman a little bit. She went 4-0-1 last year. She didn't lose a game until she hasn't lost a game yet, actually, because there was a tie and then a win against Mercyhurst. So I think she's very capable, but I also think that the big difference this year was that they had a lot of players that they lost from the forward group who were very good defensively in their own end. Players like Udin Johansson, Cheyenne D'Arcangelo, they were putting up ridiculous offensive numbers, so everyone just thought of them as a goal-scoring group.
Right.
But they came back. They helped kind of defend the net. They gave up way more than they usually did in terms of shots on net than they did most of the games that Chelsea Layden was in net last year. There were games where you would see like 10 shots on goal or like 15 shots on goal, not for a period, for the whole game on Chelsea Layden.
And I think that's why this year it's really going to be a team that has to just outscore and outshoot the other team. We talk a lot about their second line, TT Ciambra, Emma Woods, Sam Iskevich. Those are really going to be key players that are going to, I'm not saying they're going to be a bad defense and let up that many goals, but they're really going to have to step it up and have to, just outdo the other team in the goal department. So, what do you think?
I think that actually leads us into our next topic. A lot of people a couple of whom I just mentioned, Cheyenne D'Arcangelo, Udin Johansson, they also lost Morgan Fritz Ward from last year. That's a lot of veteran kind of standing on the front end of the group. This forward group is going to lean a lot more heavily on TT Ciambra. Only a sophomore, but she looks like she's legit.
She looks like she could be one of the best players in the program's history.
Yeah, she was.
From what I saw.
Yeah, came in as the #1 nationally ranked recruit. It's the highest you can go as a national ranked recruit, but it's also the only top ranked recruit that they have ever gotten in their program's history. And now they pair her with Sam Iskevich, who's coming in also as a highly talented recruit, playing in the U.S. national team system. And this was our first chance to see what they would do with the losses on that pairings and how they would mix and match the lines. And Coach Turner, I think, did a good job of just putting the 2 young offensive players together. Sam Iskevich and TT were on the line for both of those games that weekend. And they paired up a couple times. TT Ciambra assisted Sam Iskevich's goal in Friday night's game, and then Sam Iskevich had a really good assist in TT Ciambra's game, stealing the puck when Mercyhurst was turning in the middle of changing lines, giving it to her right over the blue line, and it was basically a breakaway goal. It was as easy as a goal.
What's scary, James, they're going to have these 2 girls for a few years to come, okay?
Yeah.
This is just the beginning of what we've seen. So, I think her, and one player I don't think gets enough credit is assistant captain Emma Woods. She had 2 goals in her first game. I think she's really going to be a leader out there on the ice for these two, for Ciambra and for Samuskevich, like we mentioned. I think she's going to be key in leading the offense and what we were talking about before.
Yeah,
so.
and last year there were a lot of points in time when Nicole Brown and Megan Turner were playing on that second line, either whether it was with Un Johansson or Cheyenne D'Arcangelo at some points. They were on that second line a lot of the time. They were expected last year to produce in their sophomore seasons or junior seasons. So I think a lot of people forget they're still here, and they're now on a line together as they've been for much of their career, and they've paired up for a couple of good opportunities. There was that second goal in yesterday's game. Megan Turner, Nicole Brown goes in behind the net. Mercier's defender has the puck behind the net. She goes in, pressures her, takes the puck right off her stick, gives it to Megan Turner, who lifts it right over the glove hand in a very tough area. Like, it was a very tough goal to get. And I think a lot of people forget that those players are still here. But all the big name players graduated, but those players are still here.
Right.
So
let me ask you something, James. Head coach, we mentioned it earlier, Cassandra Turner. She gets her first one with the program as the head coach. What did you like from what you saw? One thing I was a little concerned with was their power play. They didn't score at all, and they had a couple opportunities to. Does that concern you at all? She mentioned after the game she was just looking for opportunities and how they did, not whether or not they scored. What do you think?
I thought she also mentioned after the game, but the power play looked really good. They just couldn't finish. They just couldn't put the puck in the back of the net. It seemed like when they were on the power play yesterday, they had the puck in the offensive zone for the entire 2 minutes. That's very rare to get in a power play. They were just peppering the goalie with shots. A lot of creative chances. It's just they just couldn't get it past Convery, the Mercyhurst goaltender, who had stood on her head for much of the weekend.
Oh, I agree.
To take her team to a tie and a one-goal loss, but in a very close game for much of that game in the second game. And I don't think many people realize Mercyhurst is a really tough squad. A lot of people are coming.
Program.
Yeah, they came into this weekend. A lot of people came this weekend thinking women's ice hockey team ranked higher than they've ever been in the preseason polls, 7th in the USCHO, and they thought, oh, Mercyhurst, that's a team they should just roll over. Mercyhurst won their conference and got into the NCAA tournament 12 of the last 13 years.
And let me tell you something,
That's
James.
a long period of time.
They didn't even have any exhibition games to start the season. Their first game against Mercyhurst was the first time they hit the ice against an opponent. So, when you see that, it really shows just how good this team can be if they already beat Mercyhurst, in a game like that.
This is the first time that since 2008, that they started a season without an exhibition game. I found that a very interesting stat when looking it up.
That is.
Yeah, and
all right. Now we'll move on to women's rugby. And while the women's rugby team has been off to a stellar start this fall, there's even bigger news in the rugby community. Last Friday, Rugby Magazine's Jackie Finland came out with an article stating that next fall there will be a women's rugby playoff consisting of the top 8 collegiate women's rugby teams in the country. Now, James, they've been off to a great start. They're 4-1. What do you think about the addition of a women's rugby playoff?
Well, it's not going to be until next year, right? Next fall, they're going to start the two-season playoff system.
It won't affect this year, but
it's definitely going to affect recruiting for most schools. First off, one thing that I know Norwich definitely has kind of pushed on people that they're recruiting is we're like three straight national championship winners, and so who knows, if you double the amount of times that there are for a team to try and win a national championship with a fall season national championship and a spring season national championship, it's going to be a lot harder to consistently win that way. And so I think that that's going to maybe kind of even the playing field a bit. More teams are going to be able to win titles, and more teams are going to be able to boast that, which means a lot more players are going to be looking at a lot more different programs if they are looking at winning instead of just kind of all going to one. And that helps with Quinnipiac, since they already did steal Alona Marr from Norwich. Got 22 tries for him last year, and she left a national championship winning program where she was a big part of that team.
Now they beat Norwich.
And they just beat Norwich for the first time in the program history. So what do you think?
I think you bring up a great point. That's great for recruiting. A lot of teams are going to see, have a fall championship. They have a spring championship. All this great stuff. My point is, why didn't they bring this sooner? I think this is great for women's rugby in general, being able to see all these different programs compete in a playoff format. We saw this with college football. It was a huge success when they added the playoff format. I think adding it to the fall is going to be huge.
Okay, well, looking more specifically at Quinnipiac, does this help or hurt their chances of winning one? Because they've been knocking on the door now for a few years. They haven't even been a program for that long, and they've already gotten close.
James, I predict, I'm putting it out there now, that they're going to win this championship. They're off to a great start right now. They're 4-1. I'm not saying second or third. They're going to win.
The spring season championship.
Yeah.
They're going to win.
They're going to win the spring championship. I love the play of Lona Marr. I love Maggie Miles, how she's been playing lately. I think they're in it to win it. They've been outscoring opponents, 175 to 68 this season. They beat Norwich first time in their history. They're off to a great start. I mean, I don't know how they couldn't win.
There are a lot of good programs out there that we still have to see them play.
I agree, but they've already seen powerhouses like Norwich.
Norwich, I think, is the only real one. They played. Yeah, they just
Life is a good program,
but they've consistently destroyed Life. So yes, Life's a good program, but I think that they've been more consistently superior against programs, except for the ones winning the national championship. So I think that's a tough.
I don't know.
Call
I don't know about that. They've been dominating a lot of teams this year.
Okay, well, we'll see if you're right in the spring. But we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to take a look ahead at the upcoming men's hockey season. Stick around. You're not going to want to miss it.
Welcome to A Sheer Sensation, North Haven's premier cosmetology service, located at 140 Washington Avenue, minutes from Hamden. We offer an array of services, from basic cuts and colors to lash extensions and formaldehyde-free keratin treatments. We also provide hair chalk and styling for men. When you spend $60, your Q card will get you 10% off. Call us at 203-239-6477 to make your next appointment at A Sheer Sensation.
My name is Doug Thoreau. For nearly 90 years, 3 generations of my family have been providing the highest quality repair service. Insurance companies will refer car owners to lesser quality shops to save money. At Thoreau Auto Body, we provide the highest quality repairs with a lifetime guarantee to maintain the safety and value of your car. That's the quality you deserve. Thoreau Auto Body. Our best work goes unnoticed.
We are your source for entertainment news.
Welcome to Joya Spa and Salon in Hamden. Whether you want a new look or the perfect wedding day hair, come to us for complete hair and nail care, cuts, styles, updos, extensions, and beautiful dimensional hair color, as well as manis and pedis, acrylics, gels, and shellac. Treat yourself to a facial, a peel, or microdermabrasion. Relax with a variety of massage techniques, including Swedish and hot stone massage. Joya Spa and Salon. Call today.
5, 4, 3.
The men's hockey team played an exhibition game today against St. Thomas University. However, they don't start the regular season until Friday. The Bobcats travel to Worcester to take on Holy Cross in the first game, a home-and-home series, getting ready for the start of the regular season. Q30 Television called up College Hockey News' writer Josh Sequin to get his thoughts on the upcoming season.
Welcome to this Q30 Sports Men's Ice Hockey Season Preview. I'm Ciambra. We're joined today on the phone by College Hockey News writer Josh Sequin. Josh, appreciate you joining us today.
As always, I appreciate being on.
All right, Josh, let's get right into this. I want to talk about, we're going to start off with a little bit of Quinnipiac talk. We'll talk about the preseason coaches poll in the ECAC. The Bobcats are ranked 4th by the coaches, but 2nd by the media. There's obviously a little bit of difference in that. What does the media see in the Bobcats that the coaches don't?
I just think they have less weaknesses than, say, a Harvard and a St. Lawrence. St. Lawrence graduated a bunch of great leaders last year. I mean, yes, Quinnipiac graduated, Dan Federico and Matt Pekka, but I think those two teams graduated a lot more. So, I mean, let's not question Harvard at this point either, because they have one of the best forward groups coming into the season that the ECAC has seen at some time. The worries I have with them are all on their defense and goaltending, and we know how important those are. And you look at Quinnipiac's roster with the players they have returning, I think their defense and goaltending is a little bit better, and I think that's the difference between what the media sees and what the coaches see.
Now, you mentioned the Bobcats are losing Matt Pekka and Dan Federico this year. How big of a loss is that for the Bobcats?
Matt Pekka was probably, as Rand Pecknold says, probably one of the best players ever play at Quinnipiac. He's a huge loss. He did the little things that probably didn't get as much accolades as some of the other really offensive players. He contributed to offense. He only had 5 goals last year, so he probably was left out in a lot of ballots that he probably should have been a part of. But the thing with Matt Pekka is he played a lot of minutes. He did the little things that you need to do to be successful, and the Tampa Bay Lightning are really impressed with him, based on what I've been reading. So he's a huge loss. And, Federico played a lot of minutes as well. But I think based on the talent that Quinnipiac has on their back end with Connor Clifton and Alex Bear and Miner that just got a waiver, and Devin Tays, those guys, that's a pretty solid top 4.
Some great points there from Josh, and we actually talked with him for more than that, and we're going to be able to see the rest of it on the website a little bit later this week. So kind of jumping off of that interview, Kyle, we're just going to talk about the team that they have this year. Josh said that they liked them, expects them to win the regular season, but lose in the tournament, which has kind of been what this team's been doing the last few years.
Right.
A lot of these players now who were sophomores and freshmen last year, they're now juniors and sophomores this year. Most of that national championship run team is gone. This is their team. What do we expect from them?
Well, you just said it. These freshmen and sophomores are now older. They're juniors, seniors. I think that's going to be a great advantage for them. They already have that postseason advantage, history. So going into this year, I think they're definitely going to win the ECAC regular season. But I disagree with what he said. I think they're going to go pretty far into the tournament, maybe even win this whole thing, especially if Sam Annis stays healthy. I think he had 23 goals, 16 assists last year. He had a breakout year. I think if he stays healthy, they could win this whole thing. I mean, what do you think?
I think the point you made on Sam Annis is absolutely right, because last year I think that they would have fared much better in the tournament if he had stayed healthy. He hurt his knee.
And that was the problem.
He hurt his knee, didn't play in Lake Placid, and there was rumors going into Lake Placid that he might play through the injury, but even if he did, he wouldn't have been himself. So they're definitely going to, I think, push a little harder to get that tournament win this year, but they have been that team that's won the regular season, got into the tournament, and lost. And today in the exhibition game, Tim Clifton, he's going to step up this year. Went to his first NHL camp in the offseason. Really is going to, he kind of came out as a breakout player last year. He didn't put up astronomical offensive numbers, but more than anyone expected from him going into last year. He was kind of thought of as that bruiser, that bruising type player who was going to get into the corners, battle for the puck, get it to the guy who was going to put in the back of the net. He has shown a little more offensive touch, I think, that people are giving him credit for.
Now, Michael Garteg, goalie this year. What do you expect out of him? He had, I want to say, a 91, 92% save percentage last year. What do you think he's going to do this year, and how do you think he's going to contribute to their playoff run?
He definitely needs to play more consistently.
Okay.
Yeah, he will have a weekend where he'll put up ridiculous stats, stand on his head, and get a couple of huge shutout wins, and the next week he'll give up 5 goals in the period. He just needs to show some consistency throughout the season. If he gets,
I think he will, though, because he's now a year older. He's been there before. I think he's got to lead this team. I think he will be more consistent. Do you not think he will be?
I think that he has the potential to, but I don't know. But then again, here's the thing. Hartzell also had a similar look like this. His underclassmen in the junior year wasn't the best. It was kind of shaky. And then someone just gave him like a like a business book with like keys to succeeding in business, and he applied it to hockey. Next thing you know, he's the best goalie in the country and taking a team to a national championship run. I don't know if Gartig's going to have the same kind of
The same book.
No, that's yeah. So I don't know. They're different people. Goalies are always a bit hard to figure out though in hockey.
Definitely.
So we're going to have to wait. For me, I want to wait till the first weekend to see what he does, to see what shape he's in.
Yeah.
Coming up, he did have apparently a pretty good Bruins development camp over the summer.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. Preseason polls, they were ranked
Second
fourth.
and fourth.
Yeah, fourth in the ECAC, and they were also ranked 18th overall in the USCHO. Do you think these are like kind of accurate descriptions going into the season?
I think it's still a little too early to tell, to be honest. I think fourth is fair. You know, you have your Yale, your St. Lawrence, your Harvards, you know, the powerhouses. I think they hit it head on. I think fourth is a good place. What about you?
I think the media poll is more representative. Where the media poll had them in second. Josh Sequin talked a little bit about it, how he had them like first or second in his media poll. I think that's definitely a better representation of what they can be, win the ECAC, but then lose in the tournament. So,
Do they beat Yale this year? Big question.
It's always. I think it's going to be a tie because it's usually a tie.
All right. Well, we'll have to see. When we come back, though, we'll get you caught up with the women's soccer team and what was a historic day for the women's volleyball team. Plus, James and I will give you our step up and sit down players of the week. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Laser Medica Derma Centers is a new philosophy in skincare for all ages. We are dedicated to offering the most technologically advanced and least invasive skincare treatments. Show your Q card and receive 20% off any procedure. We also provide microdermabrasion and Botox treatments, all performed in a relaxing spa environment. We are conveniently located at 52 Washington Avenue in North Haven, just down the street from Quinnipiac's North Haven campus. Call to schedule a free consultation and find out how Laser Medica can give you smooth, sexy skin all year long.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike's sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
After a hot start to the year, the women's soccer team have now lost 3 of their last 4 games and given up 7 goals in just the last 2 games. This stretch now puts the team at a 5-5 record overall and 1-2 record in the MAC. So Kyle, what do you think the cause of this kind of tough stretch is?
I think the defense is the cause of this rough patch right now. James, they're giving up 2 goals per game this year, and their offense really isn't that good enough to surpass that 2-goal deficit. You know, I really think everyone is giving them a little too much credit at the beginning of this year. I believe Justin Cloutier said in the last Bobcat Breakdown that he predicted them to win the MAC championship.
He did say that.
You know, they did just lose to Niagara 4-0. I mean, I don't see them doing that. Maybe a top 4 appearance if they can somehow find a way to get their defense a little tighter. but they just lost to Niagara 4-0. I mean,
a team that was put at 4th in the MAC
Yeah.
preseason poll too, not one that was like expected to blow doors.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just it's a young team. We keep you kind of said it. We were getting all hyped up. Oh wow, look at all this young offensive talent that they have.
Nadia Gill, who is going to be one of the best players I think Quinnipiac has ever seen in women's soccer. She's great, but she's only 16 years old.
Yeah.
I don't think you can lay, the program's, future on a 16-year-old. I don't think you can say that they're going to win the MAC championship when you have a 16-year-old leading your offense.
Yeah, I think that we got all geared up a little bit because it was a hot start. There was a lot of young offensive talent there. We were just still a little taken aback because I think our expectations going into the year, especially after the last couple of seasons, only like 3 wins a season.
Absolutely.
We had such low expectations for them, and they went past them in non-conference play. And so we didn't really know what to feel about this team. So that leads me to this. Was non-conference play just misleading, or do you think that like 5-5, this is what this team is going to be?
I think they're going to be around a 500 team, to be honest. And that's not bad considering what they were last year. A 3-win team. I think they're going in the right direction, and I think they're only going to build off this. They're not a bad team. They're only going to get better in the years to come. Yeah,
I think that when they brought in 13 freshmen this year, they were building for a couple years down the line, not specifically for this year. Yeah. So,
October 4th, 2015. Put it in the record books. Women's volleyball has won their first MAC game since 2013. After back and forth sets with St. Peter's, Quinnipiac came out on top 3-2. With this win, the ladies improved to 2-14 overall in the season and 1-4 in the conference. James, is this the beginning of a new women's volleyball team?
Maybe one that could beat St. Peter's on a regular basis, but I don't think that it's going to do much more than that. St. Peter's also has struggled very much in the MAC and in their non-conference play. St. Peter's it's kind of been St. Peter's, Quinnipiac, like right there near the bottom, usually year after year. Yeah. It was a very closely contested contest, but they
did have one set where they won 25-7. To be fair,
came all the way down to the 5th set though.
It did.
It was a very close match, but I don't think this is what we're going to expect from this team going forward.
I agree. So, plus or minus 4 games this year win.
Plus or minus 4 match wins?
4, yeah.
I'm going to take the minus on that.
You're going to take the minus?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say exactly 4. I think they beat St. Peter's one more time and then pull out one more win.
Okay, Kyle, we're going to move on over to Step Up and Sit Down. Who do you got for your Step Up Player of the Week?
My Step Up Player of the Week, Q30's own Dylan Fearon of the cross-country team. He's having a great year. He placed first on Quinnipiac in consecutive weeks. Last Friday at the Paul Short Invitational, he placed 35th overall out of 354 runners. He had a career best time of 25 minutes, 24 seconds. That's a minute 51 faster than his freshman year and 30 seconds faster than last year. He's really stepped it up, carrying this cross-country team. Congrats, Dylan. I really, think this cross-country team's going to thrive.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with Melissa Samaskevich. A lot of hype about her coming into this women's hockey season as a freshman. First 2 games. First game, she gets goal. Second game, she gives a great assist to TT Ciambra. Those 2 are really clicking. I think that they're going to provide a ton of offense for this team. Just watch out for that pairing. So I'm going to move on over to my sit-down performance of the week.
Go for it.
Natalia Grodzki. She had a yellow card in the UMass Lowell game. She gave up 4 goals and 6 shots on net in the Niagara game. That's just not even close to up to snuff for the women's soccer team, especially with this young offense. They're in a bit of a slump. They need her to step up. She has not been getting it done.
Well, for my sit-down player, we're staying on the pitch, but we're going to men's soccer. I know they've been beaten up a little bit this season, but Rashawn Daly is my sit-down player of the week, and he needs to step it up. He's physically gifted. He's 6'2" and fast. I think he could play a lot better than he is. He has an opportunity to lead this team as a freshman, yet he only has 1 goal this year. He had 1 shot against Niagara yesterday, only 2 against St. Peter's. But funny thing about it, his 1 goal this year, that leads the team in goals. There's a bunch of players that only have 1 goal, and that's the team leading stat.
Yeah, and that's going to do it for us tonight on Bobcat Breakdown. Make sure to follow us at Q30television.com and the QBSN.com. Thanks for watching. I'm James Anderson.
I'm Kyle Levasseur. We'll see you next time.